Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review slash knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Defiant 7 Eagle. Who is Defiant 7? I didn't know up until just recently. It's one of my favorite knife makers ever, Les George, in collaboration with Chad Nichols. And I think they have some other designers as well. But yeah, these are made in the USA. And this is modeled after one of my favorite Les George designs. It looks very similar to the Talos, right? But this is cool. A U.S. knife company, another U.S. knife company. We don't get nearly as many of those nowadays. So it's cool. And down in, competitive high-end production price territory, right? I'm going to link these at eKnives. eKnives provided this knife for review. I don't get to keep it. It's going back to eKnives, but I very much enjoyed carrying it. Really cool. So check out eKnives. Check out these specifically, and Defiant 7 knives in general down in the description. Thanks so much to my patrons for supporting me. Let's go ahead and get a measurement of this knife. It's not a small knife. The overall length of the Defiant 7 Eagle is coming in at 8.5 inches. Blade length is coming in at 3.75, cutting edge 3.65. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons. How about first some other Les George knives? Here's the Midtech VECP V3. And how about the ProTech Rockeye? This is a special version, right? ProTech Rockeye, much, modeled after the VECP. But you can see there, this guy is similar in size, a little bit longer. Definitely that same look. I love the aesthetic of Les George knives. I've been a fan for a very, very long time. Okay, some more common stuff. Let's put it up against any custom scales you find in this section can be found down in the description under Original Goat and others. Up against the 8010 and the 8020.5. You can see here it's a pretty big knife. Same length overall as the 8010, just not as burly. Let's put it up against the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3. Where are you? There you are. Spyderco Para 3. Okay, pretty big. And then finally, we'll put it up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue, and the Hogue Deca. A little bigger than the Ritter Hogue, quite a bit, versus the Deca. How's the action? So the overall quality is great. This is the first thing, when it comes to an American production company, it's like there's a standard nowadays. If you're going to charge this much, you're working against some pretty big names. So your price point has to be great, but your fit and finish and your quality control has to be really awesome in 2025. And I'm happy to say that that's essentially the case here. The overall construction of the knife is very, very good. I would pick this up and think, is this a new ProTech model initially, right? So as far as machining quality of the blade has this is indistinguishable from the VECP blade. Like, it's got that same glassy, those of you who have Les George Midtechs, that glassy finish that he applies to everything that just feels special. It's just different than everybody else. I don't know what it is. That's exactly what this feels like, okay? Now, the firing power, this is an automatic knife. Here's what I check for, right? Because power is always great. When I push the button, does the blade deploy completely? Yes. If I hold the button down and pull the blade back, will the spring be enough to keep the blade going back out into the open position without that full momentum? And the answer is yes. Then we talk about power. How satisfying is it to deploy? When I unboxed this the first time, it felt a little bit weak, so I tweaked the pivot. I backed it out just a little bit and checked to see if I had any blade play, and I didn't. I think mine was a little over-tightened from the factory. So the action it feels much more snappy now. That being said, are we in the same territory as ProTech? I think you can see it. No. ProTech fires quite a bit harder. This makes me think more like kind of the medium power Kershaw launch series stuff. Fine, nothing wrong with that. You're not necessarily paying for power. I've had a lot of people in my own comments point out they don't love hyper powerful side openers. They just want them to open with enough force to fully deploy. They don't want to, kind of tense up every single time that you deploy it. Now, as somebody who's handled a bajillion knives, right? I kind of know what to expect with some of these harder firing ones. This rock eye that I've got from ProTech, this is definitely one of the harder firing side openers that I own. I know what to expect. But if I were to hand this to one of my friends, 50-50 chance it goes flying out of their hands, right? This is definitely, if you're maybe newer to autos, maybe you've handled ProTechs and you're like, it's great, they're super high quality, I just don't like how hard they feel, then you might love this, right? If you're a big fan of how the Kershaw Launch Series knives fire, then I think you'll really like this. Personally, and this is a preference, again, it's very subjective power. I think it should, the only standard is it's got to fully deploy. With the blade in any position, it has to fully deploy. And it does that, right? So it passes. Personally, I would like them to use a more powerful coil spring in there. I just would. I want it to feel more like a ProTech because we are in, the way that they've priced this is very ProTech competitive, right? So, yeah. But it's fine. It does deploy. Loosening the pivot helped. I mean, it made a world of difference. I'd say 20% easily. And stayed, fully centered with no blade play. So... let's go ahead and do carry profile. Thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. It's not crazy thick, and it's also contoured. Beautiful 3D contoured aluminum. We don't get that very often. That's a nice touch there. I love that. Do that to your VECP mid-tech. This is more expensive with the titanium, but this is nice. It's really, really nice. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. If you've ever carried a Les George knife, they're typical, it's just like a normal size, full size knife. Like they carry like a lot of full size knives, right? Pretty easy to carry. A lot of people are going to think it's a little too big, but as far as like knives that are 8.5 inches go, this is one of the easier ones to carry, right? It's compact for an 8.5 inch full size knife. Longer than the Para 3, almost as tall, not quite, about the same. PM2 still a little longer closed up. But if you've ever carried one, you know that this bill is one of those where ergonomically you're like, oh, I can feel it, but boy, in and out of the pocket, that thing is ready to ramp up over anything. The in and out of the pocket experience with these Les George clips, it's gonna go in. I just need to choose my words more carefully. The in and out of the pocket experience is just phenomenal. It's just a little bit of an irritation if you're squeezing the knife really hard. But the nice thing is it is rounded off. It's not sharp in any way. So it's a little bit of a trade-off there, but pretty good. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check. I'll get out my tools. As per usual, my tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. I think the pivot is a T10. This looks like a Les George. No, I'm sorry. It's even bigger. It's a T15. But I think it's actually like, maybe it's a little bit smaller head overall, but it's definitely like, he's making these pivots. They're in his shop, or he's making them exactly the same way. But that is a T, it might even be bigger, guys. There's no freaking way. It can't be. Had a little bit of, it felt like a little bit of wiggle room in there. That ain't a T20. Feels the T20 kind of wants to start to fit, but that's essentially a T15 with a little bit of room there. Did they do a T15 plus? I don't know. I'm gonna fire this again, make sure I didn't accidentally over tighten it. Nope, we're good. So that's what you're looking at there, and then you are looking at, unfortunately, two random little T6 screws. I don't know if it's because we had to have them placed so high. I'm also not sure why we needed because here's the stop pin. So I'm not sure why we needed so many screws. What do we have here? This is a T6. Yeah, so two T6 screws right here, and then two T8 screws. But they do go all the way through. It's a seam construction, which is fine. So it's only 4 screws total. It'd be the same thing as 2 on each side. I just wish they were all T8. Probably would have been an eyesore. I think what he was thinking was, I put 2 more screws this size up here, and it's an eyesore. So, yeah. Not that big of a deal. And you have 3 screws for the pocket clip. No lefty mounting position, right? I mean, like here, I'm right-handed, and firing this button with my index finger on the left, like, probably should have been a mounting position or screw holes on the other side, but okay. Either way, this is not a difficult knife to take apart. You will be working against that coil spring, putting it back together. If you've ever taken apart an auto, You know, that can be a little bit frustrating, so proceed with caution. Far from impossible. As long as you have the right tools for the job, you should be good to go. Somewhere in there, I lost a bit. Oh, here it is. I'll just put that back in there. Let's go ahead and measure the blade stock thickness. I bet, yeah, you know what? It looks to be about the same as the mid-tech. Maybe slightly thinner. It should be about 150. Somewhere right around 150, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah, 147 thousandths. It's a little thinner than that guy. On the thicker side, but it's got a good edge. We'll talk about it. Weight. So this is aluminum, 6061 T6, aluminum, aircraft aluminum, and S45VN. How's it heat treated? 59 to 61, which is fine for S45VN. Let's go ahead and weigh it here. 4.4 ounces. That's pretty much exactly what I expected. Not perfect ratios, but 4.4 ounces. Not bad for an 8.5-inch knife. Your balance is just slightly back from the pivot, right where you're going to put your index finger. So honestly, it feels really, really good. Okay, meat and potato time. How's the ergonomics? It's a Les George. It's basically a Talos. Really good. You can feel that clip. It's not like owie, owie. It's not like that. It's fine, right? Is it even the same clip? They got a crazy weird clip on the ProTech here. Yeah, beautiful ergos. Jimping. In true Les George fashion, it's essentially useless. It's not quite as bad. Hold on. Yeah, it's the same. We gotta, like, I don't know what the deal is. The jimping is just not, like, there's a little bit of traction, but it's odd. Like, it's not doing much, right? Fortunately, the lock-in with this handle profile is so good. I'm not going to drop it. The contoured or like the radiused aluminum, it just feels so good. There's no sharp spots anywhere on this knife. It feels like a complete thing. It doesn't feel like something that's just like hot off the machine with jagged corners or just unfinished corners. Nothing about this knife feels unfinished. It feels very premium, very polished, very finished. Feels like a lot of care went into it. Right, especially that glassy, smooth, however he does this weird, glassy Les George tumbled finish. It is so smooth. I'm a huge fan of it. This is one of the finishes that got me to absolutely love the kind of reflective stonewash finish. Just really nice. A lot of billboarding. Defiant 7, made in the USA, S45VN. Look at this side. Beautiful. We got a lot. We got story time on this side. It's beautiful, clean. I think it's fine to put your lawyers, make it smaller, put it up here, right? It's okay. This is far from the most offensive I've ever seen, right? Microtech. But, yeah, it's just like, wow, it's right there in your face. That typical Les George blade profile, nice long spear point, drop point, whatever you want to call it. Nice swedge here, nice tip. Factory edge, nice and really bitey. Extremely, not just sharp, but it's sticky. Oh, yeah, it's no resistance. I know it's just paper, right? Factory edges all feel different, even, you know, on a blade that's a little bit thicker and has, I mean, behind the edge, it's not insanely thin. It's far from it, right? But man, it feels good. Really, really nice. A joy to cut with. The way that they're sharpened, like the bevels look pretty darn even. I'll let you guys take a look at the plunge grind. That's going to be more or less important depending on who you are. Not bad. Not bad, right? I'm no pro. I don't sharpen as much as some of you. But if you're going to dedicate to this, then that's, you know, to this being like one of your only knives, you're going to use it so much you're going to have to sharpen all the time. That's an area you want to pay attention to. If you're like me and you've got a lot of knives or you very casually use knives, you touch them up way more often than you sharpen them, not so much. Not going to have to worry about it. But it looks okay to me. So, fit and finish all the way around. Seating of the hardware, spacing, all of that. It's all perfect. Seam construction here. So it comes here. There is a little, no, I was seeing something else. That was a weird optical illusion. I was like, this is higher than that. I saw the stuff behind it. No, the materials coming together. It's perfect. Very, very good. Love that. Don't need a backspacer, right? Sometimes it's cool to have the backspacer, just looks nice, but they don't need it here. So you have a little lanyard square back here if you want to put a lanyard in. If you don't, if you're like me and I'm like, I don't use it, I don't want to see the thing, the hole on the knife. Nice way to do that. Very, very nice. Like I said, it's right hand only unless they make left-handed versions of this that I'm not aware of. The clip has about the perfect tension and extremely easy. You know, even if you have those athletic pants with the zippers that make carrying a knife just like super frustrating, this even is just no problem with that. Right over that zipper thing. So the lockup, completely and totally solid, absolutely perfect. No button stick. The button feels great. This feels fine in here. You have a nice little click into the closed position. There's always a little bit of detent. I don't really call it detent latch with an auto, but that's what it's because the coil spring is like pushing it up, right? Just a little bit of that. It's fine. And still perfectly centered. Absolutely perfectly centered. What's the price? $285. I can get a Kershaw launch for $150. You can. Here's why there's a difference in the cost. Kershaw is a massive, massive company. Huge company. They can definitely survive on volume. There are way more places in the world that sell Kershaw knives, and Kershaw's able to fulfill all of them. I mean, like, they're in Walmart, okay? I mean, actually, I don't know about the launch stuff, but yeah, there's way more. So there's the volume thing. Also, I know Kershaw is making enough of you know, like a high enough percentage of their knives in-house when they call them USA Kershaws, because there's Chinese Kershaws and there's US Kershaws. When they say they're USA Kershaws, they are making legally enough of the knife in the United States to call it USA. But if you think that it's the same percentage as this, well, you're wrong. This is an in-house, much smaller production. So I would venture to guess 95%, maybe little things, maybe little tiny internal pieces or screws or whatever, but everything else is going to be there. So smaller batches, and they're also doing everything, you know, in a way that makes it more expensive to create, period. Like, there's no comparison whatsoever. It's just going to be a higher cost here. So, but the fit and finish is very, very good. I can't say that it's substantially better than, like years ago, I would say, well, ProTech, a company like ProTech, they're not only is their action better, but their quality control is better than Kershaw. Nowadays, I mean, Kershaw's stuff is similar to ProTech stuff, but ProTech, again, is a smaller operation. They're still a bigger company than Defiant 7. They're nowhere near the same size as Kershaw. And they're definitely making, you know, everything or nearly everything in-house. So this is much more comparable to ProTech than it is Kershaw. If you're not the biggest fan, if you love all the sound of that, you're like, yeah, I want to support all that in-house USA stuff. I want an automatic knife, and I love the Les George look, right? So if the last part of this is you are not the type of person who loves the super powerful side openers, you want you just want reliable, right? Well, this is it. I mean, here it is. Here's your dream knife, right? If you're like me and you like a little more of a kick, you like that ProTech, pow, you like that, you might not like this so much, right? I feel like a lot more of the potential buyers for Defiant 7 are going to want that kick. So I'm just trying to be honest. I know people are going to have their preferences, but yeah, if you pick this up and you're okay with it not being the most powerful side opener, I think you're really going to like it. It's a really, really good knife. So generally speaking, though, yeah, recommendable. It does exactly what you'd want it to do, and they are fairly competitive in their pricing. I can't be too mad about that, especially making this stuff in the United States. I think $285 for this is fairly reasonable. I would have loved to see it at $250 or less, but these days I'm like, everything should be less, right? So I'm trying to be realistic, trying to be fair, especially with the USA stuff. So yeah, it's not easy building a company here in the USA and having it work out, especially like a US knife company. That's going to be crazy tricky. So cool. Glad I finally got to handle one. Now I'm really interested in all of their other models. So hoping that eKnives will be willing to loan me some more Defiant 7 stuff because I'd love to check it out. This will go in my recommended knives playlist. I do like it. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on the Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.